Thank you so much for coming out. This is really exciting to see this many people here. I can't tell you how thrilled I am that all of you came out tonight to hear about this very important issue. I'm going to start you off with a few numbers. The top number, $27 billion. $27 billion is the total amount that public education costs us today in the state of Pennsylvania. It's quite a large number, and the 6.25% that you see right below that, that number is the average annual historical increase of our cost of public education historically. So if you go forward with the 6.25% over the next number, the 10-year span, you're looking at about $53 billion if we stay on the same track that we're currently on today. Almost double where we're at now. Now, I'd like to see a show of hands now. Who here thinks they can afford double the property taxes in 10 years? Nobody. So obviously we have an issue. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have an issue. So let's talk about this issue. 30% is a number that, depending on what school district you live in, your property taxes could rise by that amount within the next 2 to 3 years. I don't know about you, but I can't really afford a 30% increase either. One final number, 10,000. You saw in the little movie before I started here. 10,000 is the approximate number across the state of folks who lose their home to the property tax. This is not foreclosures. This is not foreclosures. This is property tax sheriff sales. Now, recently, about 2 years ago, there was a public hearing in the Senate, Pennsylvania, and there were many different lobby groups there testifying. One such lobby group was called the Pennsylvania Budget and Policy Center. And during their testimony, a man named Michael Wood testified that 10,000 people losing their homes a year is not a significant enough number to change the property tax system.
Where's he live?
Well, excuse me, I beg to differ. Just one person losing their homes is reason enough to change this. A lot of legislators say, well, the problem isn't the property tax, the problem is spending. Well, to a degree, I agree with that. We do have a lot of very irresponsible school boards. We have a lot of Taj Mahal schools. We have the all-weather tracks. We have this and that.
We have fancy refurbishing.
There you go. So it goes on and on and on. And I'm not here to beat up on school boards. I am a school board member. I'm not like the school board members I just mentioned. But there is a spending problem that needs to be taken care of. But still, that's not the entire problem. And I would also say part of that spending, out of control spending, is the pension problem that our legislators refuse to fix. What is wrong with tax relief? Well, let's look at it. In the past, we've had different measures to deal with this property tax. We had Act 50, Act 72, Act 1, HB 1600, all of them, local tax shifts. All of them were attempts to shift the tax from your property tax to some sort of a local EIT. Now, as part of Act 1 back in 2006, at Governor Rendell's insistence at the time, he made it so there had to be a referendum made so you folks could vote on whether or not to shift to an earned income tax. And 498 school districts were eligible for the shift. 494 of them rejected. And after that many, only 4 accepted. Governor Rendell said, well, the people are just too dumb. They should have taken us up on this offer. Well, the people, you folks are not dumb. You realize that tax shift, if you don't eliminate that school property tax, is nothing more than an additional tax, and your property taxes are just going to go right back up to where they were and continue right on past it. Next thing is the Wolf Plan. Now, here, this is very important too. There are a lot of folks that are maybe getting swayed towards thinking that this is a good idea. I'm here to let you know it's not a good idea. The Wolf Plan, as you may know, would raise it does basically the same thing that SB76 does. It raises the sales tax and raises the income tax. But it does not eliminate your school tax. He's out there promising a 50% property tax reduction. Now, some of the money that he's generating from this, he's not even giving back to property tax reduction. He wants to give it to some other areas. But right off the bat, his plan raises about $3.2 billion to go towards property tax relief. It takes about $10 billion to replace the property tax under SB76. Now, even under Common Core math, 3.2 is not half of 10. Do you agree? One other thing I want to mention about Wolf's plan. There was another analysis done. It was a website called taxpayersthatpay.com. They had analyzed every school district across the state and found that 405 out of the 500, the residents in 405 out of 500, 81% would be paying more in taxes under the Wolf plan. Keep that in mind. So here we are, the 3 R's. We demand, not ask, we are demanding. No relief, no reform, no reduction. We want the school property tax replaced.
Yeah!
Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a statistic here. It's going to probably upset you. In 2004 it was, Sam Rohr introduced a property tax replacement bill. At that time, to replace the property tax, he would have needed to generate $8 billion. And to do that, all he needed to do in that bill was expand the base of the sales tax. In other words, those items that are currently not taxed, some of them would become taxed. Some of them, not all of them. And at the same time, the sales tax rate would have actually been lowered from 6% to 4.5%. And they didn't do it. So here we stand today. We need about 12.7 total. I told you 10 earlier. I'm going to get to the difference why I'm telling you 12.7 now. I'll explain that in a minute. But we need about 12.7 total. And to get this thing done, we need a combination of the expanded sales tax, a rise in the sales tax from 6% to 7%, and a small increase in the income tax for about 1.27%. Now, this is still a fantastic plan. I'm going to get to some numbers later on. I'm sure you're already aware that pretty much everybody in this room is going to come out a winner in this plan. But I just wanted to bring that up to show you what the result of the delay in Harrisburg and our legislators have been. How easy it would have been, and it's still easy, and they're still dragging their feet. But we can't keep going, because that line that I showed you earlier that's being driven up so high by the pension costs, if this keeps getting delayed, we're going to have to increase that sales tax to 8, 9, 10%, or drive up the income tax to replace the school tax, and it's just not going to happen. Legislators aren't going to go for it, and probably the voters won't either. So we've got to get this done now. It's basically what I'm trying to get across to you. The time is now. July of 2014, Arizona State University job growth ranking for Pennsylvania. This is a university. This is not me talking. We are 36th of 50 for job growth. 36th. That's pitiful. Job growth rate of 1.19% in Pennsylvania. We've got 35 other states that are looking a heck of a lot more attractive to our college graduates to go and find places of employment than Pennsylvania. 2014, United Van Lines, the moving company, they did a national mover survey. And the results were, they were looking at total in-migration and out-migration. Pennsylvania ranked 9th in out-migration, not 9th last. That means there's only 8 states that are actually having more out-migration than us. In other words, there's only 8 more states that people are fleeing from, like rats from a drowning ship, than Pennsylvania. So, of the, Jersey's probably one. 43.2% inbound versus 56.8% outbound, they said. What does SB76 do? Thank you. Total elimination of the school property tax, obviously, is the goal. It's going to be phased in over a 2-year period. The reason for that is because we have to establish the fund and put a little bit of money into it ahead of time. Then, over a 2-year period, that way we can use that money to drive out in the first year of the eliminated property tax. Now, it's going to be total elimination of school board taxing ability with specific exceptions. Moderate expansion of the sales tax is how we do it. Phase to include more items and services with exemptions for necessities. An increase in the personal income tax rate to 4.34. Again, that's about $0.0125 up from what it is now. I think it's 3.07 now. Act 1 gambling revenue, it doesn't really amount to much. It's about $750 to $800 million, but it's there. We're throwing that in the pot here too. It was originally meant for tax relief. We're going to keep that money. We're going to throw that in the pot too for this bill. Small retained property tax for long-term debt. Now, here's another area where legislators are commonly misleading folks on what this is about, and I'm going to explain it to you right now. Let me be clear. During this time, the school district cannot raise your property taxes while this debt is paid off. They cannot expand the debt. They cannot take on more debt, and they cannot refinance for a longer term. It's part of the bill. It must be paid off, and when it's paid off, then your property taxes go away 100%. Did any of you know that the original reason for the sales tax was to fund our schools?
Yeah.
And today it still goes to fund our schools. It was never rated for something else, so keep that in mind.
A temporary 3%.
School funding, under 76. All districts are fully funded, dollar for dollar, for total amount of local taxes eliminated. No redistribution of wealth. I covered that earlier. Annual funding increases to all districts. You're going to like this. Based on the percentage increase in Pennsylvania average weekly wage or available revenue, whichever is less, not more, whichever is less, allocated in each district equally on a percentage basis. So there's your spending control. You get, instead of that black line going forward, that line with your average weekly wage increase, they can live on the same budget that you folks live on for a change. Supplemental school funding through the EIT or PIT. So folks say, well, what if the school needs more money? What if they can't function? What if we have an influx of kids? Name the reason. Well, there's a solution for that too. All supplemental EIT or PIT, the school can introduce an earned income tax under 76, but it's subject to voter referendum. A no exception voter referendum. For specific projects, let's say they want to add on to the school. Maybe they have to add on to the school. Maybe they want to build a new football stadium, whatever. Instead of 5 school board members just having their way and doing whatever they please, it goes to referendum. And on that referendum, it has to specify the project. The referendum must state the purpose of the project, the cost of the project, the tax rate to be applied so you know what you're paying, and the sunset date for the tax so you know when that tax goes away, and that tax must go away when it's paid off. For general school district funds, maybe they want to improve curriculum, expand curriculum, so have you. They need more general revenue funds. Well, they can do that too, but it's got to go to voter referendum. And not only does it have to go to voter referendum, it needs to be refreshed every 4 years. So in other words, they have to come and ask you every 4 years, instead of saying, we're just going to do this, they have to say, may we please have your permission to continue with this. Introduction of a separate concurrent legislation proposing a constitutional amendment to forever abolish property taxes as a source of school funding. The elimination of school property taxes increases the disposable income of property taxpayers. The analysis assumes that 70% of the property tax cut goes to individuals. It further assumes that homeowners spend 90% of the increase in disposable income. The legislation will cause home values to increase, on average, by more than 10% statewide. We still have not recovered fully from the 2008 housing market crash. Don't you think a 10% almost instantaneous overnight increase in your home value would be something that's going to help you in the economy?
Hell
I would
yeah,
say
I do.
so. Right there in the analysis. Homeowners, realize a tax cut. The analysis finds that the increase in federal income tax through lower itemized deductions, state income tax, and sales tax is more than offset by the reduction in property taxes. Retired homeowners realize a significant reduction in taxes. The analysis finds that the property tax reduction easily offsets any increase from the higher sales tax. Seniors, retired seniors are not exposed to the increased 1.25% on the income tax. Therefore, all you have to do is worry about a 1% increase on your sales tax to get rid of your property tax. Sounds like a pretty doggone good deal to me.
Yeah.
The elimination of property taxes would significantly reduce the property tax share and would clearly increase the attractiveness of the Commonwealth for business location and expansion. You see that word clearly? That means clearly. That means no-brainer. Harrisburg, are you listening? Right here, the IFO report clearly would make the Commonwealth more attractive to businesses. Remember before, 50 out of 50? Think this is a good idea, folks? I would say so. In other words, what this says is put more money back into the pockets of the working class homeowners and the retired folks. They're going to go out and spend it, which is going to snowball, and that sales tax that we now just replaced the property tax with, those revenues are going to go up because now you're spending your money in the marketplace rather than giving it to the school director.
Want some, you want?
Makes perfect sense. Now, what are the common objections that we're hearing? First one, loss of local control. Put that up on the screen there. Another one you might hear from the legislators. Well, we're losing local control if we do this. You know, the schools should have control at the local level and so forth. Well, let me just blow that right out of the water for you right now. I would say to Harrisburg, the definition of local control really is controlling the locals. There is no local control. And the only thing that we lose as far as local control, and I'll tell you this as a school board member, is the ability of any 5 school board members to raise your taxes. That's the only thing that's lost. There's nothing taken away in the school's ability to make any decisions regarding curriculum. And I would say that the fact that they have to come to you and ask your permission to increase your taxes from now on, that is the ultimate local control. Let me give you a couple examples. The average property tax in Pennsylvania is school property tax. It's $3,500. Yours might be more, yours might be less. Mine's more. $3,500. So to figure out, am I going to be a winner or loser under this bill, you just say, well, these new items are going to be taxed at 7% that weren't taxed before. So we take $3,500, divide it by 0.07, and you come up with what you would have to spend on these newly taxed items to equal your $3,500 tax bill. That figure is $50,000.
Wow.
Every year.
Wow.
That's the newly taxed items that are not currently subject to the sales tax. As far as the items that are currently subject to the sales tax, if you're paying 7 or 6% on, you're only going to see a 1% increase. So for those, you're going to be spending $350,000 every year just to break even with your $3,500 school tax. On the income side, all you have to do is divide that same $3,500 by 0.0127, the 1.27% increase, and you will find that you would have to have a net or a income after deductions of about $280,000 a year just to equal your $3,500 property tax. So if you're below that, you're a winner. Now I realize that your tax burden will be a combination of all those three. But I wanted to give you those numbers so you can clearly see that 90% or more of the homeowners in Pennsylvania are clearly winners under this bill. The numbers don't work. Here we go. Another table taken directly from the fiscal analysis that I mentioned previously. They're saying that this will underfund our schools, and this is the chart that they're using to try and tell you that this will underfund the schools. So let me explain this to you. If you see in the far left column under 2014-15, at the very bottom it says net fiscal impact, and you see a -3 there. What that was after the analysis, they determined that the money generated by 76 is about $3 million short of current, at that time, 14-15 property tax revenue. So right away, all the opposition went, see, the numbers don't work. It doesn't fully fund our schools. Folks, $3 million. Let me put this in perspective. We're talking about $10.4 billion to replace the school property tax. $3 million. Anybody have an idea what percentage off that is? 0.0028%. That's missing the mark. 0.0028%. That's underfunding our schools. Kmart could have a blue light special for a weekend and drive up sales enough to make up that $3 million. Come on, folks. It's right on the money. The numbers work. The numbers absolutely work.
It's a rounding error.
It's a rounding error. Thank you.
An online tax calculator on one of the websites, Pennsylvania Taxpayer Cyber Coalition, PTCC.us. And it's an Excel spreadsheet you can download. You can plug in your own numbers from your own tax returns, and you see exactly how much this would affect you personally. So we did a couple of just examples. So the first one here is a retired couple in Pottstown. They're living exclusively on Social Security. They do own their home, which is $76,000. We picked that number kind of out of the air, but it seemed reasonable. So right now they're paying about $3,000 in school taxes. In the new world, under SB76, they would not pay that $3,000. They would pay about $100 extra in sales tax because they're going to have some more disposable income. They're going to buy more things, so they're going to pay more in income tax. The income tax is going up, or the sales tax is going up. They're going to pay $100 more. So if you're retired, living on a fixed income, on Social Security income in Pottstown, you're going to save on average about $2,900. If you're a family in Pottstown making $42,000, which incidentally is the median, or at least the best data I could get for the median income in Pottstown, and you own a home worth about $118,000, which again is the median for Pottstown, your school tax, we feel, is about $3,300 a year. Of course, you won't pay that school tax anymore, but you will pay a little more sales tax, about $150, because you're going to be spending, again, that $3,300 on other things. You will also pay income tax, which is going to go up, so your income tax is going to go up about $500, and your federal deduction is going to drop, because you're not going to be able to deduct this school property tax like you can today. The net result is you're going to save $2,200.